Yo, what's going on, everybody? Williams here with the brand new guys today, and welcome to the channel. It's been a while since we've done like an actual just IRL sport video. I've been wanting to do some IRL sport videos for a while, but timing, scheduling, like I said, this is my main channel, so there's a lot of stuff that's going on with my other channel that I'm still needing to freaking write scripts for. And there's also the Twitch stream, then there's also just things at home. So like there's a lot of stuff going on where it makes it a little harder to get the videos I want to get out for this particular channel, since again, it's not the priority. But today's video, we're doing my IRL sports and talking about the NWSL season. The NWSL regular season just ended, so we're just going to talk about individual teams, maybe some players, and maybe some predictions for the playoffs while we get into that. So we're going to put some numbers as well, so we can talk about the teams, and you can see those numbers instead of just looking at my face the entire time, my background the entire time, so you be able to see what I'm referring to, what I'm looking at, what I'm talking about while we go into detail about each individual team. So this is a yap sesh video. This video was going to be pretty long for the most part. I'll talk about each team. So let's get into looking at the team's standings. I'm going to talk about each team individually, in my opinion on them and where they can go in the future. All right, so you have the standings right here. The team that won the league in terms of the regular season was the Pride. But the playoffs are the playoffs, so it's up for grabs when it comes to that. But like I said, we're gonna talk things from the bottom and work our way up and talk about each team individually. Starting things off with the Houston Dash, who went 5-16-5 in the game, had a negative 22 goal difference. And then they had 20 goals themselves and 42 goals given up. The Houston Dash went through, had this discussion on my Twitch stream where it's like, they are one of the weirdest teams in all sports because their stats don't make sense. Like not just stats, but like their performance don't make sense, because when it comes down to the actual team itself, you would think they'd be a good team. Like they don't have a crazy bad roster. Alozier is phenomenal. She can play a variety of positions. I think there was times where she's played freaking like as a fullback. She's now playing as a forward. Very good player. One of the best players from Nigeria. Very good player. Andressa, again, another player who's extremely really good. Plays for Brazil. Very talented player. Madison is one of those fledgling players. I'm not sure that's like the right word to use. Same thing comes like Bachman and Brian. Ride is very good. So you look at her. We're pulling her up because I want to go more detail. Alozier is self-explanatory. She's a very good player. But this is someone who's extremely good, played a lot of minutes, high passing percentage. She's had 3 scoring attempts. Isn't she? I'm thinking that I'm pretty sure she's a freaking like a more defensive midfielder than an attacking midfielder, which goes into the fact that she's not taking a lot of shots. She's only committed 1 foul, so she's not out here getting fouled a lot. She's won 2 tackles, played 17 games. It's 64% tackle percentage and 4 interceptions. And then 7 head-on duels won as well. She's talented. That's kind of more along the lines I'm trying to point out there when it comes to her. She's very talented. Jane Campbell's one of the best keepers in the world. And like you have one of the best keepers in the world, and yet you have the goal difference that you have. Again, negative 22 goal difference. How can you have one of the best keepers in the world and have a negative 22 goal difference? Tarsine, I'm sure that's her name. If it's not, I apologize to her. Is one of the best up and coming defenders in the sport. She's really good. Ryan Garris, very good. I think she just got back. She had a kid, so she didn't really play a lot recently. But Garris is a very good player. She's up there with Alozier as being like one of their best forwards. Can play 7 games. She's one of the best players on the team. We're trying to just pick out certain players who we want to talk about. Yuki Nagasato, one of the legends of the NWSL right now. Very good player. Paige Nielsen. She actually was she gave up a very bad goal in their last game. But she's generally known for being a solid defender. Not one of the best, but a solid defender. Then Dina Ordonez, very good striker. And I want to talk about her and Alozier in a second to go further into detail about them. Sophie Schmidt, very good player. Van Zantine, up and coming player, very good. There was someone else who's missing. She grew up in Houston. I think I might have passed her name, or they don't have her listed. Was it Barbara? I think it was Barbara. Yeah, it was her. Very good player. Very good player. We're starting to see a lot of her in the later games. But what I probably want to talk about when it comes to Houston is, what's going on with the team? Why is it that this team is dead last? How does a team who I'm literally telling you have a lot of talent, they have one of the best keepers in the game, they have great players, but like they can't win games? They're not doing well. For one, their defense isn't very good. I don't know if it's a formation thing. I don't know if it's a coaching thing. It could be coaching. At the end of the day, that's what it comes down to. If you have good players and you're not winning games, it's likely because of coaching. I want to see if maybe pull up their schedule. And as you see that, like, the games that they lose, they're not losing like close games. So then this was a surprise. But I remember correctly, they're a very, very high press team, so they play a very heavy defense. I'm trying to see like what formation they play, because I think they play like a 3-back. Oliveira, she scored in that game, like I said she did. Lineups on the fly reporting for you guys. They actually lined up in a 4-2-3-1 this game, but usually they play like a 3-back. Honestly, I think what happens a lot when it comes to like them is that they have a habit of like having Chapman move up a little bit, or Harris moves up and Chapman comes like slides on the inside, and then they push forward that way. But like they have the talent. Like here's what we'll start things off. This isn't against Yuki. Yuki's a great player, but to start things off, Yuki in this game starting as a striker. Lozier subbed on. I don't think Dino Ordonez even played, but it's like when you have Dino Ordonez, you have Ryan Garrett, you have Yuki, you have Lozier. Don't you think a formation that can get all of them on the field at the exact same time, the formation that you try to freaking find? Because generally when it comes to like sports, especially this sport, you want to get your best players on the field, in every single game. So you find a formation that gets them on the field. So if you have Lozier, who's a great forward, you have Ryan Garrett, who's a great winger, then you find a formation where Garrett can play on the wing, which he is right here in this 4-2-3-1, and you can get a Lozier either also on the wing, and then have Dino Ordonez up top, and then have Yuki Nakasato where Barbara's playing at. But the difference is, you're like, okay, well, what are you gonna do with Barbara? Well, you could play in a 4-3-3 and have Yuki as a cam and Barbara as an attacking midfielder, on the left or the right, and then have someone else, like Schmidt, play as a defending midfielder. So you basically just got to find a way to get your best players on the field. And if you can't get all of them on the field, then you need to make decisions with your forwards. Because if you have a surplus of good players in one position, then maybe it's time to move one of those players. So let's say potentially you decide to trade Dino Ordonez to get a defender. Because your defense sucks, you need to get a defender. So let's say you trade Dino Ordonez to a team who needs a striker, but they have a surplus of defenders. You can have someone be on his back line to help out Jane Campbell, who literally is one of the best keepers in the world, but she plays on a team that can't stop freaking conceding goals. So it's like, what can Houston do to stop being a bad team? Because, you kind of want them to be better. Just when you see their players and, you see how they performed. And like they're a team that should be winning more games than they win, but they don't. Moving on to Seattle, which is, one of those teams where it's like, how did this happen? How did Seattle go from, because remember, always got to consider, Seattle has always been one of those marquee teams in NWSL. So it's like, how does this team go from being one of the marquee teams to being second to last? What happened with Seattle that led to this? You literally just gave Laura Harvey a new contract like last season. So, what's the problem? You're 6-15-5. You traded away Alana Cook, who was one of your best defenders, to KC. You traded away Bethany Balser to Louisville, who was pretty much one of your best, targets for on free kicks. What's going on here? Like, yes, they lost a lot of talent because a good portion of their players like Roosevelt has left the team to go to Gotham. But like, is it just those three players? It's not just Alana Cook. It's not just losing Roosevelt. It's not just losing Alana Cook. It's also not losing Rapinoe to retirement. There has to be more going on with the team than just those things. And what is it like? What is it with the team that's that has made them fall the way that they have fallen? So let's pull them up and take a look at the team to like just get like an overview, like what's going on here. You know, they scored 27 goals, conceded 44. Negative 17 goal difference, 40 offsides, 5 penalties conceded. They only have 4 PKs taken, which is wild when you think about it. 3 red cards. You know, they committed a lot of fouls. But when it comes to their roster, which most of we want to get into, you know, you think about who they have on the team. I want to point out like the big ones. Ryan Brown, pretty solid player. I don't think she gets enough play time, in my opinion. But there's a lot there for her. You know, Jess Fishlock, very good player, but you kind of get to that point where it's like, you know, are you getting to a point where she's more of like an off the bench veteran presence and it's someone you can rely on because, you know, getting up there in age. Claudia Dickey, they used to have Tolis Joyce. They traded Tolis Joyce to Manchester United. United's doing very, very good with her. Like they're not like, you know, beating Chelsea and Man City because, you know, those two teams are way more stacked than United is. United has had a decision to like cut back on the spending for the women's team, so they've got rid of a lot of their good players, including the fact that some players are away because, you know, pregnancies and things like that. But Tolis Joyce was the reigns keeper and she was very, very good. They sent her to United, and where she's having a pretty solid season. Maybe you wouldn't be conceding as many goals if you kept Tolis Joyce. They brought in Glass, who's doing pretty good. They also put Sofia Huerta on loan to OL. So it's like, well, I'm pretty sure as a sister / brother freaking team with them. I think OL used to freaking own Seattle, and they had a new ownership change, which is why they were called the OL Reign before. But yeah, they sent Sofia Huerta to the OL Reign on loan, so she is coming back. But you know, it's like, again, you're getting rid of one of your best players. So if you get rid of some of your best players, of course you're going to fall flat. You know, Hall's a decent player, but she's not one of your best players. Jordan Heidema is a great 9. She's very, very good. But as good as she is, she's not consistent. You know, so like there's certain forwards in the sport where it's like they're consistently doing good. You look at Barbara Vanda, look at Sophia Smith, you look at, you know, Robin, you look at Chowinga, you look at people like that. Even when it comes to like Sarr before she got hurt, you see these people who are just clinical in front of the net and they're consistently doing well. Even if they don't score, they're consistently a problem. You don't see it with Heitzman. King, same situation where it's like pretty good player, but the consistency isn't there. Latsko, you know, it's one of those off the bench kind of players, you know, a sub. Mondesar has potential. They recently brought her in. She looks solid. Same because like G So Young is phenomenal, you know, and that's another player who like there's the potential is there. Like there's another one of the teams where it's like you have so many good players, why aren't you winning? And the thing about it is, you want to be real about it. It might not be that Seattle lacks the talent or that Houston just lacks the coaching. It could just be everyone else is just that much better. You know, like that's just a reality of like a sport. It's possible for everyone else to just be that much better than you. Where even if you are a team with a lot of talent, you're going to struggle. And that's kind of like the thing about the NWSL is this is the most competitive league in women's soccer. It just is. You know, you think about the major leagues, not all the leagues, the major leagues. You think about NWSL, you think about Liga F, you think about the Google Pixel League, you think about D1 Arkema, you think about the Women's Super League. When it comes to like the actual competitiveness of the leagues themselves, there's no league as competitive in NWSL and as stacked at talent as NWSL. For the other leagues, it's mostly just 2 or 3 teams and then that's it. So you think about the WSL. You got Chelsea, Man City, and sometimes United. Keyword there is sometimes. The rest of the teams are just kind of like whatever, you know, for the most part. You know, there's some teams who sometimes do a little decent here and there. You know, some teams who have some talent here and there, but like for the most part is Chelsea, United, Man, and City. For the most part. Then we could talk about Liga F is Barcelona, then a huge ass gap, then Real Madrid, and then Atletico. Yeah, but like understand like it's a huge gap when it comes to like talent and competitiveness between Barcelona and Real Madrid when it comes to women's leagues. And then when it comes to like the Google Pixel League is Bayern Munich and Wolfsburg, and then that's pretty much it. Think about D1 Arkema, a little bit more variety there when it comes to the fact that Paris FC, PSG, Lyon, like again, more so just 3, but those 3 teams are extremely stacked where it's a lot closer. NWSL, pretty much every team is just freaking stacked. You know, so it's hard to win in this league, which makes it impressive that freaking teams like Orlando Pride went 18-2. They had a crazy season. You know, they went undefeated essentially at home. And that's unexpected. So let's get talking about Angel City. Angel City is a little more personal for me because I don't have an actual favorite team because I like too many players in my hometown to have a team. But Angel City is like the team who I kind of want to win the most because they have my favorite player. My favorite player is Christian Press. So Angel City situation, they changed head coaches at the end of last year, and they kept Becky Tweed for this year. And it's one of the situations where it's like, okay, what can this team do to get over the hump? They couldn't get over the hump last season. What can they do to get over the hump this season? When it comes to Angel City, again, going right into the roster because we're mostly talking about the rosters and the potential and, you know, things there. Angel City, they brought in Messiah Bright from Orlando, and I feel like they just don't use her enough. She's a very, very good forward. She is very, very physical forward too. There's a lot of the times when they have success with her in the field is when she's having like this great hold up play that leads to her even getting a score or getting the ball off for an assist, or, you know, just being the one who makes a play that leads to someone else getting the assist. The talent is there, Messiah Bright, but it's like you want to see more of her. But the issue is what this team is, they have a surplus of forwards. So it's like, if you have a surplus of forwards, that means some people who might be the best option aren't good in the field because you're kind of favoritizing other players. For example, like you're favoritizing some of the older players, or even someone who's a little younger than Messiah. I feel like when it comes to Angel City, their biggest weakness, though, in my opinion, is their midfield just kind of seems lacking. And they did bring in Katie Zalim from Manchester United to help out with the midfield, and Zalim's a great player. But it still kind of feels like there's a disconnect between the defense, the midfield, and the forwards. Because the defense is very good. They have very good defenders. Sarah Gordon is one of the best, you know, center backs in the game, and Giselle Thompson at right back is looking like a great potential. But again, she's very, very, very young. Sometimes Madison Hammond plays there. Sometimes Madison Hammond plays in midfield. Maddie is a good player, but again, one of the players who you kind of feel like is like an off the bench player more so than, you know, someone who you're relying on to be your every game starter. You know, June Endo didn't play because she's still dealing with an injury. Fuller, much like Giselle Thompson and much like Alyssa Thompson, is one of those young players who shows a lot of promise, but you don't really want to rely on the entirety of your team being based around your young talent because guess what? They're young, you know, so it's like there's only so much that they can do. Vanessa Giles is on loan, so she's not playing. So you would hope that next season they keep her instead of having her alone. Because you think about, you know, a potential lineup, for example, when it comes to Angel City, imagine a defensive lineup that has Vanessa Giles and Sarah Gordon at center back. You know, so that sounds very, very good to me. Especially with what's the name retiring? Maris Mathias. She just retired, so you're going to have that spot in the center back where you're going to need someone like Giles, who's very, very experienced and very, very good. Again, you have a very young team when it comes to all these teenagers. So you need some people on the team who are the veteran leadership and not just the leadership when it comes to like Sydney LaRue or Christian Press. The other thing about Angel City is I think they need a keeper. Didi gets like some nice saves here and there, but I think for the most part, she's not a starter. I don't think she's that good. I think a lot of the times when it comes to the goals that they allow, so like here's about keepers. Sometimes keepers allow a lot of goals because the defense is bad. Sometimes keepers allow a lot of goals because they're bad. I'm not saying that she's bad, but I don't think she's the answer. You know, is it Angelina Anderson? Maybe. I don't know. We had to see more of Angelina as a starter, but Didi isn't it. You know, look around the league and see, you know, who has a surplus of keepers. Maybe you look at Gotham. Abby Smith is back from injury, and they have Berger. So maybe Gotham doesn't want to keep both because both of them are very, very good keepers. Both of them are starting quality keepers. So maybe you make a call to Gotham about Abby Smith. LaRue just got a new contract. There's been dialogue from the fans about LaRue potentially not being worth the new contract and, you know, being part of the problem. She's clinical in front of net. And at the end of the day, you do want a striker who might not be able to do much else, but if they're clinical in front of net, you want them there to be that answer. So I don't have that issue with LaRue, who again I just think is when it comes to having a season that's going as bad as it's gone. LaRue has been, you know, kind of an answer. She has 7 goals and an assist, has 8 goal contributions in 25 games. You know, so it's like the season's not going great, but she's one of the bright spots. You consider, you know, other people when it comes to the stats. The most goals in the league was 13. You know, 5th place is 5th. So just going off numbers, you know, she wasn't the worst player in the league, because she, you know, she's doing pretty good when it comes to getting goals. But again, that goes back to what I said before about being clinical in front of the net. Then you have Casey, you know, again, one of the very, very young players. And again, it goes back to the fact that we're having to rely on a lot of young players. Christian Press, she finally started to play this year, come back from injury. The key word there is she's returning from injury. So she's playing on, you know, management minutes. You're not fully using her the way that you would best use her. I think she started her first game, like the final game of the season was like the first game where she like fully started. Might be wrong on that. Might be like the last 2 games, but like she hasn't been, you know, playing a lot of games. So there's not a lot of sample size to say when it comes to Press on how she factors into this team and how you can go forward. Because again, we get to understand what I'm saying here when it comes to the fact that this is a team that has a lot of good forwards, but you can't get them all on the field. That's just not realistic. You know, when you have Alyssa Thompson, when you have Press, you have Fair, and you have LaRue, and you have you know, Johnson, and you have Endo, who might be back next year from her injury. You also have Claire Emsley, who comes off the bench now. You might have you do have Messiah Bright. That you have so many options at forward, and all those names I just said are all very good options. But it's like there's just too many. Like they all can't get on the field. It's not realistic. You know, Allie Riley's injured. Her injury is very, very bad. It's one of those injuries where it's like a potential career-ending injury. They brought in Rocky to help the midfield out, and again, good choice. Bringing in Rocky was a good choice. Bringing in Katie Slim was a good choice. But you know, there's still something here. Is it coaching? Can all this just be down to coaching? You know, could it just be Becky Tweed isn't the answer? Could it be that her tactics information isn't the answer for the team? Maybe. You know, it's possible because the team is talented. You know, from top to bottom, there's a lot of talent here. Katie Zalim, Ma, Alyssa, Giselle, Hannah has looked pretty nice. I think I would want to see like an open conversation if they didn't choose to go for a trade for a keeper. I would want to see them, you know, just transfer Didi and then have a competition between Hannah and Angelina Anderson to see who would be the starting keeper. Jasmine Spencer is very, very reliable. Again, Rocky's very good. Allie's injured. Reed, Press, again, very good player, but come back from injury. Fair, very, very young. Nebbit, decent player. Matthias, retired. LaRue, clinical in front of the net. Kate Johnson, decent player. More of like a role player, rotational player, not someone you're starting. Madison, same thing. Role player, situational player. Gordon, one of the best in the league. Giles is on loan, very good player. Fuller, another one of the young players with a lot of talent. Endo, injured. Emsley, very good player. Now kind of have like a rotational role. Eddie, Doherty Howard, pretty good. Curry, pretty good. Messiah, pretty good. Angelina, like I said before, she's good enough to where you would kind of want to see if her or Hannah could be the answer at keeper if you don't want to go out and get a keeper. So the talent's there. But what has to be done to make it better? Like I said, you got a surplus of forwards. You can make some moves. You can make some moves to, you know, get a third midfielder to partner up with Zalim and partner up with Rocky Rodriguez. You have options there. If you don't, because I feel like for the most part you probably would have like a 4-3-3 where Fuller is your cam, and then those two, Rocky and Katie Zalim, are, you know, your left and right mids. But it's like this is a team that just has too much freaking talent. It's like, how are you doing so bad? How does a team with that much talent just do so bad? So then we have Utah. I know I said before it's gonna be a long video because we went through every single team, and I'm going in detail. So Utah is another team who kind of started the year off a little rough. Utah did not have a good start to the year, which is why they fired Amy Rodriguez. But after they replaced Rodriguez, I forgot who they have now. Like that was a very bad game. Utah's one of them teams, much like Houston, who has like a very high press defense. You know, they sometimes also will play a 3-back. Like they were getting cooked for like a bit, just straight up just getting wrecked in a lot of their games. They're just like, all right, we gotta make a change. They got rid of Rodriguez, and then things are starting to change. Utah started to look a little bit more better. They started to like play better defense. They started having like better offense. They became like a better freaking team. Like yeah, they got cooked in their last game, but it's Gotham. What are you gonna do when it's Gotham? You know, Gotham is a pretty nutty freaking team. So when it comes to them, it's like, all right, what do you do? Where do you go from there? I think for the most part, if you are someone who's a fan of Utah, you're a little more satisfied. Like, yeah, you got 11th place. Yeah, you went 7-15-4, but you had a good turnaround. You struggled at the beginning of the year, and then you started like having some success. So for an expansion team, yeah, you didn't do as good as Bay City, as who's also an expansion team, but there's some positives there. You had a good end of the season. Yeah, you didn't win their last game, but you had for the most part, the second half of the season for you was pretty solid. Hannah Bedford, very good player. Zoe Burns, very good player. Joe Fava, very, very good player. There's one person in particular, Hot, very good player. She literally just had her first call up to the U.S. national team because she's having like a very good season. Monahan, known for being a good player. Then it comes like Merrick, very good player. There's one person in particular though I want to talk about. You got Pogar, also known to be a very good player, played for the Wave. Ali Centaur, the future is bright when it comes to her. Very good player. Mina Tanaka, also very good player. Ana Tejada is a great defender. Like just another one of those young players with a lot of freaking talent. Just a very, very good defender. The talent is there. The potential is there for Utah. They look solid. You know, yeah, they didn't like. Yeah, and like when it comes to like the records, we look at Angel City's record. It's like, what gives? What can make you? What can get you from being this team who just can't get it right versus, you know, a team who has the same number of wins essentially and damn near the same stats for the most part. Why is it promising for Utah, but what the fuck when it comes to Angel City? Expansion team who had a rough start to the year versus a team who should be winning games. You know, that's the difference there. One team is a team who should be winning games with a lot of talent. The other team is an expansion team where it's like, all right, we can see there's some potential there. Utah, obviously, we're not giving as much love to when it comes to talk about them because there's not a lot to talk about Utah. Let's talk about the Wave, which, you know, this could be a long discussion. We'll see how this goes. This could be 20 minutes by itself. It won't be, but it could be 20 minutes by itself. The Wave did not have a good year, obviously, and it was a mess. It was a mess of a season, and much like when it comes to like Seattle, where it's like they just got rid of players they didn't need to get rid of. Like you see Dog Kemper right here pictured. They sent Dog Kemper to Bay City, and I'm just gonna point out before we get to Bay City, Bay City struggled. They got Dog Kemper and started winning games. I'm not saying she's 100% the reason why they won games, but, you know, she's definitely a key figure in it. So the Wave, the Wave won the league last year. They didn't win champion. They didn't win playoffs. They won the league last year, and they looked like a crazy good team with a shit ton of freaking talent. This year, they struggled. This year, they fired their coach, who I think shouldn't have got fired. I think Casey's a great coach. I just think like the front office, we're seeing the team struggle and then didn't know how to behave to us. They're just like, fire the coach. That was a reaction to it. Because at the time, as we did about this before, Alice Morgan wasn't retired yet. And Alice Morgan was not playing well. She was missing shots that Alice Morgan would normally freaking make. You know, she was whiffing on. There was like one penalty against KC where she's literally just skied it. A pen. Alice Morgan taking a pen and she skied it. She just wasn't playing well. You know, and for the most part, it comes down to it. That's just the team wasn't playing well. Coaches got to coach, but the players got to play. They brought in Landon Donovan, you know, who kind of looked okay at first, but then more and more cracks for the team started to be noticeable. Ever since Stoney left, Kaylin Sheridan kind of became a shell of herself. Sheridan is one of the best keepers in the world. But once Stoney left, mistakes start to happen with Sheridan. Like, she was making mistakes that you aren't used to seeing Sheridan make. It's like, what is going on with Sheridan? And you watch the games and hear the announcer say the exact same thing. It's like, what is going on with Sheridan? Like, what is going? I remember the last game that they had. The announcer was like, they need to go back to the basics. She was like, I don't know what's going on with the team, but they need to go back to the basics, because something about Sheridan has changed under Donovan, and it's just not working. When it comes to talent, Amir Ali, potential, more so a rotational player, that's fine. Melanie is showing, and she's only like freaking 17 years old, if not 16. She's showing very, very strong signs of being the future of the team when it comes to like the forwards. You can see the team being built around her and around Jaden Shaw, who, right now is the face of the team now that Morgan's retired. But she looks insane. Melanie, her and US under 17 team just won the bronze medal. And she was popping off. Elise Bennett, I honestly think they should start Elise as the center forward. Start her at that striking position. I just feel like they need someone like her up front in the middle. I don't know if that's what she wants. It's possible that she prefers being more sporadic or rotational. I don't know, but I think she has a talent to be someone who can be that center striker who you're feeding the ball into to get the ball in net. That's not what they're doing, but I think that she could be that person. She kind of has that Ali Watt aura about her. To explain what I mean, whenever Ali Watt's on the field, Orlando plays better. Even if she's not the one necessarily getting the goals, they play better. When Elise was playing for Seattle, because Seattle sent her to the Wave, they were doing better when she was on the field. When Elise on the field for the Wave, they do better. They won their last game in a game against a team who, did have a better finish than them. And Maria Sanchez, who, again, you're in this situation where, if we can go back to the actual roster, where like Maria Sanchez played for Houston, was one of the best players and got a new contract, and then just dipped. So there's a lot of animosity between her and the Dash, and a lot of animosity between her and the fans of Houston. This team has talent. It has a lot of talent. They're in the same boat as Angel City. Like the literal exact same boat as Angel City, where it's like, how do you have so much freaking talent on your team, but you can't win games? Because it doesn't make sense. You have Daphne Casarano, who is nuts. She is so good. Again, you mentioned how good Elise Bennett is. Ira has shown flashes of potential. Calaprico, very, very good. Doniak, I feel like she's more rotational when it comes to her talent-wise, or skill-wise. I won't say talent. Talent sounds mean. She's not someone you're going to be starting. Germa, literally the best defender in the world. Like, it's not top 5. She's number 1. She is the best center back in women's soccer, bar none. And that's something Emma Hayes said. Emma Hayes has seen Barcelona. Emma Hayes has seen Real Madrid. Emma Hayes has seen Chelsea. She's seen Manchester United. She's seen Manchester City. She's seen PSG and OL. She's seen Wolfsburg. She's seen Bayern Munich. She herself said she thinks Germa is the best defender in the world. And she is. Meanwhile, this team can't win. Maya Jones, a lot of potential. Keyword, there's potential. We've said a lot when it comes to teams like Angel City and it comes to teams like The Wave. Potential. Hannah, pretty freaking good. McCaskill, I think it's time to move on from Savannah. Personal opinion, I think it's time to move on from Savannah. McNabb, very good player, very versatile. She's solid. Alice Morgan's retired, so nothing about it. Pearl Maroney, they brought her in, another player from France. Very good player. She's a fullback, solid player. Again, the team has talent. Maria Sanchez, insane. She's so freaking good, especially on free kicks. If Maria Sanchez kicking a corner, you don't know if it's going to go into the net directly, because she can do it, or it's going to be a nice ass freaking header. It's a free kick outside the box, that might go in net. Very, very good passer, very good on free kicks. Jaden Shaw, the face of the team right now. Morgan's retired. The new face of the team is Jaden Shaw. She's built up as being the next big hope for the Team USA when it comes to, getting into that tier. You have that tier of players where it's Rotman, Smith, Swanson. She's being looked at as one of those people who's going to get into that category for the forwards. Caitlin Sheridan, SoTArch 4, one of the best keepers in the world. Somehow, some way, she's having a bad season ever since Tony got fired. Thorpe, I think, is on freaking on loan, so not about her. Van Ekman, get up there in age, but for the most part, a very, very good defensive midfielder. Wesley, she's now partnered with Germa now that they traded Dog Camper. Very young player. I think she's a rookie. I think it's her first year. Good player. The potential's there. West Paul, good player. The talent is there. The talent is there. But how do you unlock that talent? What's the answer here? Is it formation? Is it tactics? Is it a coach? You know, what do you got to do? What do you got to do for this team to get to where it needs to get to? Now, Louisville, the team who finished 9th, who I think just barely missed the playoffs. I think they missed on what you call it, but you know they had aspirations for a bit. Louisville's, in my opinion, has always been like one of those like mid-tier teams. You know, like I've never seen Louisville as being like one of the top teams. I've always seen it just being like a middle of the pack team who, you know, they might win a game, they might lose a game. Like they are like, you know how in other sports there's that 500 team, 500 being, you know, your average. Let's say your team who let's say there's 20 games in a season, the 500 team who goes 10-10, that's 500. You know, like in NFL, it's like the Seattle Seahawks. They're a team who's like always 8-8. Now there's more games, so you know the numbers are different. But like they were always like an 8-8 team. That's, you know, to me, Louisville. They're that team who's like always, you know, competitive. You know, they might win, they might lose. You never know. They're not the most insanely talented team, but they can get things done. They made changes that better the team, made changes that the worse team. They for one, they went out and got Taylor Flint. Taylor Flint played for the Wave. I think the Wave should keep Taylor Flint, get rid of her. They lost a strong integral piece of the team, and she's done decent for them. They got Bethany Balser, who's like a crazy header target. I know she's 5'7", but you know it's not like she's playing against freaking 6'3" freaking defenders. She played for Seattle. She was a very, very good weapon for Seattle when it comes to headers. Janine Becky, very, very good player. Ari Borges, another really good player. Sven DeMello, kind of inconsistent. DeMello's like one of those players who's just, sometimes she is the best player on the field, and sometimes she's just there. That's just reality. That happened during the World Cup when USA lost. The games that she played, it was kind of like, sometimes she's good, sometimes it's like, do you know where you are? I know that sounds mean. I love Savannah, but it's like, but that's kind of like how it was watching the World Cup. You know, she can be the best player on the field, or you just kind of confused on why she's there. You know, they traded away Carson Pickett back to Orlando, so you know she's not on the team anymore. Pickett's a very good player. Abby Urseg, kind of getting up there in age, but you know, for the most part, a solid defender. About Flint, they put Elsa Jean. Then they put her on loan to I don't know if it's a USL team. It's one of the Lord US division teams. Was Kano injured? I don't remember if she was injured or not. But another good player, just a very good player. Lund, one of the best keepers in America. For the most part, like I said, Emma Sears just had her first call up. She's crazy good, like just a randomly very good player. Like she's just super good. Like it's one thing watching her in NWSL, but we watched her doing the friendlies. It was just like, damn, she's good, and she is. Emma Sears is really good. But yeah, for the most part, just a middle of the pack team. There's nothing wrong with that for the most part. Especially when, like I said, when you're in a very, very talented, deeply competitive league. Being middle of the pack isn't awful as long as you look like you know could be a team who made playoffs. Like the Wave would be technically considered middle of the pack if you can just count as like a top 10. But you expect more from them. You don't look at Louisville and go, I expect more. Look at the Wave, you go, I expect more. It's kind of the same thing when it comes to like talking about the Royals and City, even though Louisville is not an expansion team. The Red Stars, they finally got Mallory Swanson back, and they looked pretty freaking good. Well, after Mallory got back, they brought in Jamaica's head coach to be the coach of the team. And at first, things started off like really good for what you call it, for the Stars. And then they kind of like just trickled off. You know, like see, they started off with a win against the Royals, a win against Seattle. They tied against Orlando Pride. They lost against Angel City. Then they beat Seattle again. They got beat by the Thorn. They had, Washington. They struggled with Washington, who doesn't. And they beat Bay City, and they punched freaking Royals in the mouth again. And then they lost. See how it's going. Like it's win loss win loss win loss. Like it's looking like that kind of thing. And then like after a while, it kind of just became a loss win loss win loss. Like it started to just become like it went from win loss to loss win kind of situation where it's like, okay, something's going on here that's not adding up with the team and what's going on here. You just got a new head coach. Is it personnel? Is this team just missing some pieces? Which is probably what it is. This team is probably just missing some missing some pieces. Jenna Bike is very, very good. Swanson, so we go much into about her. Kieran is very solid as well. Ludma is crazy. Hey, honestly, if this team gets it together, this would be like a very scary team to go up against. If you have Ludma as your center striker, Swanson on the right, maybe Bike on the Swanson on the left, maybe Bike on the right. That's a nasty front three. That's a nasty front three. The mid feels a little mid when it comes to this team, and you do kind of like want to see them get better at the midfield. And that could just be what it is. It could be like they just need a better midfield because their defense isn't terrible, because Quika isn't bad. So it's like she's pretty good. Malasso is insanely good. You got one of the best keepers in the game. Nesbitt, is their rookie they drafted. She's pretty freaking good. Ricario is known for being good, but again, you're more so getting into that age debate. It's like, is the game boom passers. Sam Staub is insanely good defender. So the talent is there when it comes to the forwards and the defense, and when it comes to like the youth, when it comes to Nesbitt. But it's like outside of that, the midfield looks like the weak link. You got a new coach who did decent. It looks like your issue is the midfield. All right, Bay City, another expansion team, and they made the playoffs, unlike the Royals did, and that makes them the first expansion team to win as many games they've won, make the playoffs. And they didn't do amazing, but they're like the opposite of the Royals. Like remember how I mentioned that the Royals kind of like just struggled and never really got their footing, but they showed promise. Bay FC was kind of like the opposite of that one. Like they did kind of struggle at the beginning. They just got good. Like it was like that. It was like it's like I don't know if the microphone picking up the snaps, but like it was like the snap of freaking your fingers, where it's like how good they got at random. And part of them getting good at random is one, Montoya just being a very, very good coach. Also just decision making. Like I said, they went out and got Abby Camper. Like you see, like they won against Angel City. That is Angel City. They got beat by the Spirit. They got beat by Houston, which is like, again, Houston's really bad. So it's like how you lose that game. They got punched in the freaking mouth by freaking the Current. Lost to the Wave. Lost to the Thorns. Lost to the Stars. Lost to Orlando. He's just a losing streak. They finally got a win, then got beat again. And they finally got that win, then got beat again. Got a win, got punched in the mouth, then lost, and got a surprise win against the Thorns. It was like might have been doing like international situations where like a lot of stars weren't playing, but they made the playoffs. That's all that mattered. And when it comes to like the roster, they don't have like crazy, good players, but they have winners. Tess Bodie's pretty solid player, rotational player. Diana Castellanos, very good midfielder. I would say she's one of the best midfielders in the sport. Abby Camper, amazing player. I feel like she's such a catalyst to a good team and a good defense. Caprice Nadasco, solid player. Savvy King's their rookie, who we haven't seen a lot of, I would say, but the potential's there. Kudanaji is insane, very, very good player, very, very talented. Clinical on the ball when it comes to her dribbling and moving up the ball. That's just deadly. Her dribbling is just deadly. Like it can, people underrate how good dribbling is, because we've seen like such a defensive heavy sport nowadays. But like that opens up like chances, not just for herself, but for other people to get open. Because while everyone else is like focusing on the ball, you can have Oshwala, getting open for a pass. And that's just dangerous. Alyssa, she just had her a US call up, very solid player. Obviously you have Oshala, who's just, she played Barcelona. Enough said. You're not playing for Barcelona if you're not good. She played for Barcelona. She's freaking good. That's all you need to know. The girl is she's freaking good. And that's part of why they win. They win because they went out and got Dog Camper. They win because they have Oshala. They have freaking Kudananji. Kiki Pickett is, she might be small. Kiki Pickett is freaking legit, and she's legit saved goals. Like, and I mean, like, literally, like, there's been shots towards the empty net, and she got in there and made sure that ball didn't go in net. But I feel like they don't really have much of a keeper, in my opinion. But they're a solid team. All right, getting to the top 6. You got Portland, who probably should have had a better year. Like, yeah, they're going to playoffs. Yeah, for the most part, they're not happy. They're not mad with the season. Ron McGill was brought in as an interim, but he's been made the permanent coach. There's some times of the year it was like, was that even a good decision? Like, did they move a little too quickly at making Ron McGill, the head ball coach? Because there was some times where it just looked like, that another team that's incredibly talented, but they're not getting the results that you expect them to get, while it's taking a long time to freaking like load up for some magical freaking reason. When it comes to the team, Bella Bixby, we'll get right into it. Part of why they struggled this year is because they didn't really have a keeper. Now, Shelby Hogan is who they had starting. She's a backup. And people who are backups, they show why they're backups. And again, I know that sounds harsh, but it's their job. And so they brought in Mackenzie Arnold, who didn't look better. Again, Bella's a starter. Bella's just a starter keeper for the team, but Bella just had a kid, so she's kind of like off maternity leave. It was like, it's one of the situations just like, what is going on here? Like, are we gonna like hope that Bella comes back and she's back to the form that she was before? Or, will she have a step backwards? Like, what's going on here? Because the keeper situation is kind of looking a little messy. Coffee is a great player, so there's nothing to worry about there. Fleming, also a great player, nothing to worry about there. Well, this team has talent. Like, you don't even have to say a lot about Portland, because they have talent. That from top to bottom, they're a very, very good team. Whether it's a forwards or midfield or defenders, they're a very, very good team. There's just some games in there where it just seemed like they just couldn't get it all together. Like, you didn't even want to say like, oh, those games were games where Sophia Smith missed those games. If your team is relying on one player, then your team's not that good. They don't need to rely on Sophia Smith. She's a surplus to their great offense. But she's not the reason the offense is good. Or she shouldn't be. You should to still do well with other players. When it comes down to it, this is a year where this is Sinclair's last year, so Sinclair's retiring. Do you need more attacking help? You got a great midfield, and you got great defenders. Raina Reyes is looking insane right now. So who's going to fill in the shoes of Sinclair? Raylene Turner, they got her from Racing Louisville. Looks really good, so the potential is there for her. There was someone else, I forgot who it was. I don't remember what her name was. There was a player. I think it was her. I think it was Isabella. No, it wasn't her. It was somebody else. There was another player. I forgot who it was. Before I made this video, I was thinking about her. I already forgot about her. But you could build around for your force being Smith, Weaver, and Turner. Maybe like you play Smith on the right, Turner up middle, then Weaver on the left. And you have like Sugita if she continues to play, because she might retire, who knows, as like a cam. But again, this isn't a team that lacks talent. Like I want to keep repeating that. This is definitely not a team that lacks talent, because they're one of the most talented teams in the freaking sport. It's just, again, you're playing in the most competitive league in the sport. At the same time, you don't have a keeper because the person he brought in isn't the answer, and Hogan is a backup. North Carolina. We're getting to the top 5, folks. We're getting to top 5 for this long video. Video that I said at the beginning will be a long video because we're going into individual teams. Shadi Haas did a pretty good job with this team. They brought in Ashley Sanchez, who has been allowed to shine. She wasn't happy about being moved from the Spirit. Spirit fans were happy either. No one was happy about the Sanchez trade, because her and Robin are best friends. They were doing great together. Sanchez was a fan favorite with the Spirit. So, you know, it wasn't a great thing at first, but after she settled in, after Ashley settled in, and we kind of became like the face of the Courage, you start to see like a lot better performance out of the team as a whole. It's a team who didn't have Caroline for the majority of the year because Caroline got injured. So for the most part, they didn't have one of the best goal scorers. So if you think about this team at full health, and they only in top 5, this team has potential to freaking be a top 14, top 3 team if they have full health. But Ashley Sanchez and Caroline Nicoli, you know, they have, again, this team who's young with talent. Macy Bell is really good. Gomez is very, very good. The talent is definitely there. Again, it's one of the teams who kind of like lack elsewhere. I think the defense can be improved. I think that the midfield and other positions can be improved. You know, because even though, like I said, what's her name, Macy is very good. You know, that's just one player in your defense. Even though I said Gomez is good, you know, again, that's just one player in your midfield. You need the team to play. You need 2 other midfielders who are doing good, and you need, you know, the other defenders to also be doing good. Johnson's very good, but again, like I said, team game. Lucy is okay, inconsistent. She kind of has that Jordan Heidema thing about her. She's like, this is gonna sound mean, but by all means, I don't mean this as an insult because I think Heidima's a great player. But like in comparison to Heidema, it's like Heidema is like that name brand item, and then Lucy is like, all right, I don't have the money for that name brand, but I want something similar. You know, so it's like she much like how I mentioned how Heidema is just not consistent and not clinical enough. That's Lucy. Like she can score, she can make some plays, but it's not consistent enough. Manaka, insane, freaking insane, great talent, very, very good. Narumi, same thing, insane, very, very good. Denise O'Sullivan, pure talent, pure class, veteran leadership, very good. Rihanna Pinto, same thing. Like they have good players. They brought in Rauch, who I think played in Google Pixel League. Could be wrong about that, but I think she played in Google Pixel League beforehand. Very, very good. We mentioned Sanchez, where the host, one of the long-standing veterans of the game. Same comes to like Williams and Olivia Wingate, who's, you know, a little younger, but, you know, again, they have talent. They just got to get it all together and stay healthy. All right, top 4 time. KC Current, who have like one of the funniest, most interesting seasons in the league because, you know, you have literal disgraced head coach Vlatko Antonovsky. You know, everyone hates Vlatko because of how things turned out with him and the U.S. national team. You know, they didn't win the World Cup. They didn't win convincingly in the games they did win leading up to the World Cup, and even the games they did win inside the World Cup wasn't convincing enough. Because when it comes to the U.S. soccer, you expect the women's team to just dominate because they are the benchmark for success and talent in the sport, and then it just didn't look like that under Vlatko. Vlatko takes the KC job, and they look insane. So clearly, you know, it's not a talent. It's not that he's a bad coach or a tactics thing. Yeah, he was kind of bad at substitutions, but, you know, clearly there was more to it than just Vlatko's a bad coach. That's why USA was struggling. There's more to it than that. There's players who weren't performing at all. There's players who missed a step and just, you know, weren't as good as he hoped and as good as the staff hoped. But when it comes down to KC, he unlocked this freaking team. They performed very, very well. You know, the big thing being, you know, the obvious when it comes to the fact that they have Chewinga, who won the Golden Boot. 20 goals scored, 25 games. You know, Bandon got the second place in that situation. But, you know, it's a team that's just pretty solid. They brought in Alana Cook, one of the best defenders in the game, U.S. talent. You know, and you make a good coach and good front office makes choices like that to bring in a good player to fit a role that they thought they freaking needed to fill. Very, very good player. Michelle Cooper's the future. She's the future. She's young. She's talented. She's the future. Debinian, one of the best in the sport. Like, bar none, one of the best in the sport. When Brazil didn't call her up for the Olympics, everyone's like, huh? Now, she was coming back from an injury, so it makes sense. But they brought Caroline up, who also returned from injury. So it's like, I feel like Brazil would have had a better showing in Olympics if they had Vinya. Vanessa DiBernardo, very, very good. Very, very good. 80 French, much like how Didi Herachik might not be the answer for Angel City. For KC, 80 French is gonna lose them some games. She has what I call, anyone who watch my Twitch streams, I say there's a lot about 80 French. She's like Unana from Manchester United. Unana from Man United is a very good keeper, but he allows in some dumb goals. It's just like, bruh, what the that's 80. 80 is a very, very good keeper, but she allows in goals where it's just like, huh? What? How and why? Who, what, where, when, and why? How did this happen? That's 80. Love her, but, you know, she has those moments. We're seeing a lot of good play from Mace. Very good player. Lola Bonta, you know, she's their 10. She's one of the best players, and she proves that, you know, every single game. Desiree Scott's retiring, so that's going to be a position that they're going to need to fill in all season. And then Bia, so good, so good. Bia's very, very good. We'll probably see more of her. I feel like because of how good Chewinga was, a lot of how good the rest of the team is kind of been like overshadowed, which isn't Chewinga's fault. You know, we as, you know, people, we gravitate towards what we gravitate towards. But, you know, Bia was really good. Very good player. Moving into top 3. Gotham. The one of the more stacked teams. This team has a lot of US national team players on it. So of course they're a team who's dominating. Juan Carlos, very, very good player. And this team is not like, they're not gonna have full health. That's the thing about Gotham. They're a team that has a lot of US national team talent on it. And you know, they got top 3, but they still didn't have all their best players. Midge Purse was injured. Midge Purse is an amazing winger. One of the best wingers in the sport, they didn't even have. She was injured. So it's like, this team did what they did without one of their best forwards. You know, Berger is an insane keeper. One of the best keepers in the world. Rohina, you know, I feel like she's very underrated. You don't hear a lot of people talk about her. She comes off the bench. They brought in Jess Carter from England. Very good player. Tierna Davidson, one of the best defenders in sport. Crystal Dunn, one of the most versatile players in the sport and always good. There's never a time when she's not good. She's always one of the best players in the sport. Just how Dunn is. You know, Esther, phenomenal. Like the goals that she scores is just like, how? How did that happen? Like what? They brought in CC Kaiser, make your team better. They brought in Roosevelt. Rose is Rose. What can you, like, there's not enough words in the English dictionary to talk about how good of a player Rose Lavelle is. They brought her in. Nightswanger, we all know how good Nightswanger is. Kelly O'Hara is retiring. Mitch Purse was injured. Yasmin has been showing out. That last game, she was just looking nasty good. She should have had more goals than she did. There was definitely some misses there. But she's getting that confidence. She had called us to the U.S. national team for the first time. And she's getting that confidence, and the more confidence that she get, even better she's going to get. Jessica Silva, very good player that they brought in. We didn't see a lot of Jessica Silva this year, but you know we'll probably start seeing a lot more from her. Abby Smith was injured again. She's a number 1 keeper, but because of her injury, they brought in Berger. So, like I said, unless they decide to do like some kind of split between those two, they're probably going to end up trading Smith, which you know will be a steal for anyone who needs a keeper. Looking at you, Angel City. Emily Sonnet, you know, one of the captains for the national team, great player, veteran leadership, insane. Ella Stevens, fucking phenomenal. Like, god damn, she's good. Lynn Williams, same thing. If you watch the sport, you know about Lynn. You know about Lynn. She's one of the legends of the NWSL, and she's gonna get in there and get things done. Just phenomenal players. There's a reason why we're not complaining a lot about this team. Because if you're a top 3 team in the league, there's not a lot that you can change. You know, you're a top 3 in the league. You know, other than getting healthy, you're doing pretty good. Especially considering the fact they're the ones who won the playoffs last year. The Wave won the regular season. The playoffs was won by Gotham. All right, top 2. We got Spirit. We got Pride. Let's just pull them both up. Obviously, we're going to go in order because, you know, it just makes logical sense. So the Spirit are a team that is being heavily invested in by Michelle Kong, who, you know, went out there and got Barcelona's head coach, Jonathan. So this is a team who, you know, they're supposed to be top 3. Much like how Gotham should be top 3, this is one of the teams that's supposed to be top 3, if not number 1. You know, so when it comes to like talk about them, it's like, why weren't you number 1? Because the talent is there, the coach is there, the ownership is there. What is it this team missing that got the didn't, you know, get in the number 1 spot? Well, for one, Corey was hurt. Corey Bethune, likely rookie of the year, insane player, got hurt. That's a big hit to the team. Very big hit to the team. But you know, much like the other teams, from top to bottom, just pure talent. From top to bottom, just pure talent. You know, whether it's Gabby Carlisle, Ashley Hatch, you know, Howe, who just had her first USA call up, Kingsbury, one of the best keepers in the league, Casey Kruger, a legend in her own right, Tara. Oh my God, is Tara freaking good. Tara is freaking nuts. They have listed as a 4, but I think she now plays as a center back now. I'm pretty sure she now plays as a center back. Then they moved her to a center back. Let's look at the schedule so you can confirm that. I'm pretty sure they moved her to center back. Go with their recent games, not their older games. They play on the 10th. Yeah, so she's now playing center back. They have listed as a 4, but she's playing center back now. But in general, like I said, top to bottom, just pure talent. She is so freaking good. Tara is so good. Same thing comes to Paige Miedemeyer. Crazy good player. Essie Morgan, he brought her in from Manchester City. Nuts. McKenna Morris. Remember that name. Keep the name McKenna Morris in your brain. Because holy, is she freaking good. Trinity Rodman. It's Rodman. It's Rodman. Lacey Santos, one of the best players in the international game, brought her in. Obviously, the current coach, Jonathan, seeing a lot of her because she played for Atletico Madrid. Sar, another really great player. Lena Solano, rotational player, very good. Annie Sullivan, a lot of caps for the national team. She shows why she has a lot of caps, because she is a very, very good defensive midfielder. The team is, as it should be, stacked from head to toe. The only issue the team had was just some health. Robin got hurt, but came back. Bethune, you know, she missed the rest of the year. Sar got hurt. You know, there's some injury issues with the team, but for the most part, they showed you why they are who they are. Orlando, a surprise team. So when it comes to the entirety of the league, what's the biggest surprise? The biggest surprise is the Orlando Pride. You know, their name is iconic when it comes to NWSL in general, but no one expected them to be this good. No one expected them to be this dominant. It's not just that they were good, they were dominant. They were just out here just blowing the doors off teams, and it just seemed like they just couldn't be stopped. And, you know, even when it comes to like the roster, it's not like an impressive roster. You know, Steph Hines is a decent coach, but it's not like it's an impressive roster. You know, they have Messiah Bright, who people were like, yo, like, you got rid of Messiah? That's weird. Adriana, very good player. Angelina, insane player. Banda is the star of the show when it comes to, you know, their performance. But again, I said this earlier in the video that Ali Watt presence, like her aura, her shot creation, her ability to make plays is also a big reason why the Pride, you know, won the games that they won. Is not just because of Banda, it's not just because of Adriana, or, you know, you have to give Ali Watt her flowers. She's an insane player. Billy Doyle, another player who might mostly get overlooked, but a very good player. But obviously you have Marta. You're going to be in contention for aura and presence, and you're gonna have that dog in you as a team when Marta's on your team. But is Marta playing next year? I know she's retiring from the Brazilian national team. I don't know if she's retiring from the NWSL or not. I think she's gonna play another year though. First, she's playing another year. I don't know. But the team was decent. Like I said, it's not a crazy talent team. Like, it's not. Just being honest with you, this is not a crazy talented team. You know, but they got results. You know, they were surprised because they're not a crazy talented team, but they got results, and that's all that matters. All that matters, they got results. Now the playoffs are going to be interesting as hell, because it's going to be like, okay, we're gonna start seeing these players, you know, and see how that go. So moving on to talking some stats, and we'll do a prediction for the playoffs and see how that goes. Chawinga, like I said, won the Golden Boot. She had 20 goals. Banda had 13 goals. Smith had 12 goals, even though she missed a number of games, not just because of like being banged up or, you know, international break, also because she did, you know, get a suspension. Marta 9 goals. Esther 9 goals. Orvithone, even though she got hurt, she still was the assist leader. Alyssa Thompson, Alyssa was doing, like, towards the end of the year, end of the season, Alyssa was starting to get a lot of goals. So she was doing really good. She had 7 assists. Sophia Smith also ranked in 6 assists. DiBernardo ranked in 6. Chawinga ranked in 6 as well. So 3-way tie between 3rd place and 5th place. Shots on target, Chawinga had 6 shots on target. 48 for Banda, 45 for Smith, 38 for Robin, 32 for Swanson in her return year. Jane Campbell, once again, looking like the best keeper in the league when it comes to saves, when it comes to her goals against average, even though she plays for a team that just couldn't stop the cold. But when it comes to, like, you know, defending out the back, see a lot of the defending out of the back when it comes to total passes. Just very, very solid looking year for the most part. Most shoutouts went to Morehouse when it comes to Orlando, who again, they went undefeated at home. If you want to go undefeated at home, you're going to have a lot of shutouts. Just kind of how that works. All right, playoffs. It's about the playoffs. Playoffs? Well, playoffs? So the first week of the playoffs is set. Going to have the Pride against the Red Stars, who are changing their names just to Stars, Chicago Stars, and changing their logo for next season. I don't know what to expect for this game. This could be a trap game when it comes to Orlando. You expect Orlando to win this game. But again, it could be a trap game where Swanson just shows out and the Stars show up and get it done. When it comes to who I think will win that game, I do have Orlando winning, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Stars, you know, pull out ahead of them. Then you have Bay City versus Spirit. Bay City will make it a challenge. They have a lot of talent. They have a lot of potential when it comes to their forwards. But I do think the Spirit would eventually freaking like overpower them. I think if I had to give like any of these games a score, I would say Pride and Stars will probably be like a 2-1 game, and then I could see Spirit beating the Bay City 4-2. That's gonna go. We're gonna go 4-2 for that game. When it comes to KC versus the Courage, North Carolina. This could be another one of those games where like this could be another game just like freaking the Orlando game. But I will say this. It's going to either be one of two things. It's going to be a very close game or a track meet. There's nothing, no in betweens. It won't be a competitive game. It's not going to be competitive. It's either going to be very competitive or North Carolina's getting freaking throttled. Like, I'm just being honest with you. Either Casey's going to score freaking 5 goals or it's going to be a close game. So in either way, Casey's winning. And to me, the game of the week will be the Portland game against Gotham. If you want to know which game to me is one to watch, it'd be that game. It'll probably be the most competitive game when it comes to just pure talent. You know, you got Thorns with, you know, Henna. You have St. Clair, her final season. Sophia Smith. It's a lot of stories there on Morgan Weaver. You know, it is, again, the issue there is they do have a keeper problem. And that this is not the team you want to play against with a keeper problem. You have Roosevelt. You have Esther's playing out of her mind. Yasmin Ryan, who has a lot of confidence right now. Lynn Williams, you know, still hanging around there. It's gonna be a fun game. It's gonna be a fun game. So my prediction when it comes to we'll do another video for each stage instead of just giving like a full-on prediction. But yeah, I the way I see it is Pride win, Spirit win. I'm going to, even though my heart wants to pick Thorns, I think Gotham wins that game. I do think KC takes the W. So an hour and some time later. Almost hour 15 minutes, hour 20 minutes to get close to hour 20 minutes, or so hour 15 minutes of doing this video. Probably the longest video we've ever done on this channel, but you know, videos like this can get long. This might as well have been like titled a sport podcast, but it's not. It's just talk about the NWSL season and, you know, what I think going into the playoffs. Hopefully some of these teams who are at the bottom of the barrel, you know, figure out what it is they need to do. As before, it's the most stacked league in women's sports anyway, so it's like no matter what you do, there's gonna be teams who lose. That's just, everybody can win, you know. So you might have some teams who have all the talent in the world but don't win because just the other teams are also vastly talented. So you just kind of hope that the ones that you like the most do figure it out, you know, in the city, in the wave. You know, kind of hope they figure it out and become one of these teams who are getting to the playoffs and, you know, potentially winning it all. But that's it for your boy. Hope you all enjoyed the video. Catch you guys on the next one. Be your boy, NWSL. Videos like this, I always say this when it comes to like these long videos. These are videos you have up on your second monitor or on your laptop while you game or while you freaking watch something else or whatever you're doing, and you just join in the conversation. If you don't like long videos, you're in the wrong place. Video essays. I'm going to do long form content. Like I said, be your boy, NWSL. We all have a rest of y'all day. Y'all stay safe. Be kind to me. I'll see you guys on the next one. I'm out of here. This is